All right, everyone, welcome back into another props video. Going to be breaking down the top prop bets for the college football slate on Saturday. Let's go ahead and get into it. So guys, we are getting a lot of pretty solid bets for Saturday. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the top prop bets that we are getting on the board right now, the plus EV bets that we're getting for PrizePicks, and then we're going to jump on into the middles that we are getting between PrizePicks and Underdog, because that's another very solid thing about college football and just college sports in general. We tend to get some decent prop line differences. So let's go ahead and start with those plus EV bets, and then we'll jump into those middles. So first and foremost, Daniels here. This is kind of a middle, but it's also a plus EV bet. We'll start with this one. Okay, it's under fantasy score of 24.5. This is one that I do think actually has a decent chance to end up being a middle. So he's at 24.5 on PrizePicks. He's at 22.65 on Underdog. Clear edge there. The projection data actually only has him at 21.81. And the average sportsbook line has him at 20.4. Okay, so the line here of 24.5 is pretty low, but I do want to call it the issue with this one is going to be the high game total, 56.5 points or so, and it's a 5.5 point spread in favor of them winning. And again, guys, if you just look at his game log, you're going to notice that every game has been pretty darn close. And to me, that's really the reason why we are getting a big prop line difference there. Then we go ahead and take a peek at the next top prop bet. And that's going to be Allen here to get under 4.5 for his receiving yards. Nothing too crazy here. The average sportsbook line at 3.5. I mean, that could end up being a little bit of a difference there. Not a crazy big edge there. We have another one, though, here for Miller Moss. Okay, again, another one that could be considered a middle here. 55% edge to hit for him to get under 22.5 for his fantasy score. But again, it's another one that when we're looking at it, projection at 20.27 or 72, sorry. The Underdog line, 20.45, the projection date, all aligned with what we are getting there on Underdog, the average sportsbook line, the projection data, all aligned there. So the PrizePicks line is clearly the outlier. Again, decently high scoring game. Don't necessarily love that. They are 3.5 point favorites, so don't necessarily love that part of it. But again, that's probably why we're getting a decent prop line difference. And if we do just look at kind of his fantasy score over the past 4 games, that's going to really tell us a full story there. Just keep in mind this game because we are getting another pretty big middle later on as well, but I think we're okay betting the under here. And then from there, we're getting to some more of the just pure plus EV bets. So we got Wright for under his receptions of 2.5. Basically all aligned. This is just a standard plus EV bet. Obviously, Vegas is valuing this at 55% likelihood for the bet to hit, so obviously we want to take that. We got another one, Aiden Barr for under his kicking points of 7.5. An interesting point spread there, 14 points in a game that's only 52.5. Okay, so that actually could be a good thing. We just don't need to make him 2 field goals. That's kind of the issue with that. But overall, I think we're okay getting into that one. We have another kicking points one here, Dylan Curtis for under his fantasy score, another kicking points one. We are getting a bunch of these guys. We're getting Malachi Fields for under his 3.5 receptions as well. So plenty of plus EV bets, okay? That stuff will all be updating throughout the day and night up until those games lock. PrizePicks is a little bit slower with college football prop bets. So I did want to call those out to you guys. Take advantage of those if they're still available for you. But now we're going to go ahead and just jump into some of those bigger middles that we are getting. Okay, guys. So yes, we're going to be looking at some middles here, especially in regards to the fantasy score prop bets that we're getting, but also just in general. So let's go ahead and just start by kind of passing yards. Okay, so the first one we're going to talk about here is going to be Taylon Green to get over his passing yards of 268.5. We're going to want to make that bet on Underdog. PrizePicks has it at 275.5. If you look at his game, like he's gotten the over 4 out of the past 5 games, so we really like that there. Over is slightly favored at 275.5 at about 50% likelihood. If we were to look at the Underdog cheat sheet, it'd be a little bit higher there. So that ends up being, to me, a pretty solid bet that we are getting on the slate. From there, I don't necessarily love these two here. For the Cincy quarterback, it's okay. Ty Simpson as well. It's okay for those unders if you guys want to attack those. Personally, I don't see as big of an edge here in regards to these middles that we're getting. So let's go ahead and actually flip this around. Well, that's not true. There's this one I want to call it here as well. So this one's off by 5 receiving yards here for Bernard. And this is actually one that, again, I kind of like on Underdog for the over a little bit more. Just looking at kind of the other data points, 63.5 is probably a little bit too high. The projection data only at 50, but the average sportsbook line has it closer to 61.5. So a middle there, but if you didn't want to get to that one, I would understand that as well. And then we have Kenny Johnson here for over his receiving yards. Okay, so this is really up to you guys and what side you want to fall on here. If you want to bet the over here on PrizePicks, if you want to bet the under here on Underdog, you can do that. But I did want to call it not the best game log as we can see. 9-yard difference though. That should not be happening. And so I do think I'm going to end up betting both sides of this. Bet the over on PrizePicks, bet the under on Underdog. I'm going to get more of my exposure, the majority of my exposure though, to it on Underdog, where obviously the Underdog line is just clearly wrong. Then it's worth calling out, we have a passing yards prop line difference. I don't really see a big difference here. Personally, I don't necessarily love it, but if you guys want to get there, you can. Mark Gronkowski, if you guys like betting on him, I don't know. I don't necessarily love betting on those types of quarterbacks where they rush the football and aren't actually throwing the football all too much and just not efficient. So not getting to that. Then another one where we're getting a decent prop line difference is Cam Coleman here. 49.5. We can see almost got the over 2 games ago. We look at the prop line difference here. Pretty substantial. Okay, so the projection at 56.7, which is right in line, kind of more so with the Underdog line and also more in line with the average sportsbook line as well. So this one kind of checks all the boxes. It's the lowest line among the bets that we're getting. And so not a terrible bet there for the over on PrizePicks there as well. Again, this is a bet that you get into if they end up bumping those plus EV bets that we have. Okay, so typically speaking, I don't even put the plus EV bets on the board or on the bet of the day because I assume that they're going to get bumped. College football might not, but again, that's kind of up for you guys to know that and make those decisions based off of that. Okay, so that kind of does it for those types of middles. Now we're going to go ahead and get into some fantasy score middles here as well. So the nice thing about some of the fantasy score prop bets is with quarterbacks where it's a 1-for-1 swap in regards to how Underdog and PrizePicks come up with the calculation. It's a little bit different for receivers, tight ends, and running backs because of the 0.5 PPR. So I tend to like these ones a little bit more. So we got Ellie Holstein with his fantasy score 23.5. And if we look at the goal or game log here for Ellie, we are going to see kind of maybe why we are getting that middle. And so this does lead me to probably want to be on both sides of this bet. I think it ends up being a pretty good middle because if you look at it, yes, he got the under in the last game of 23.5 obviously, but he also would have got the over there on Underdog. So there's a chance that does end up middling there where you could hit on both sides of this. And that's obviously not a terrible route to go. And so we're getting a decent amount of bets in that game. I wish it was, I guess, a little bit higher scoring if we're chasing overs. But in this regard, if you're betting the under on PrizePicks, not a terrible way to go. We got Hollywood Smothers as well for his over fantasy score. I actually like this one a decent amount on Underdog. But again, we'll pull it up on PrizePicks. Okay, so again, we're going to see kind of probably why we are seeing a middle here. Very consistent producer. But again, this one really shouldn't be off by 4.4 on average. There's a slight PPR adjustment there, but still not terrible. And that kind of does it for the egregious middles that we're getting in terms of where PrizePicks is higher than Underdog, which doesn't happen that much. So we're going to flip it around. We got Joey Aguilar for under his fantasy score. Deshaun Bishop for under his fantasy score. Again, very big prop line differences there. That should not be happening. And I will say, I do like this over bet here for Joey, a decent amount on PrizePicks, but he's barely gotten the over kind of the last 2 games and almost got the over in his first game as well. So I could see again why this one is end up being the middle. So with that, we are going to go ahead and get into the bets for this slate. Now, again, we are getting a bunch of plus EV bets, guys. If those are still available, those are the best bets. Kind of start with those. I'm assuming those are going to get bumped on PrizePicks there. Going to give you guys an Underdog bet slip. Kind of focused on some of the middling opportunities that we are getting. Again, I covered a bunch of decent prop bets that we were getting. So hopefully you guys can just, go back or you guys are writing these down. Place those bets if you like those. You don't necessarily have to use these ones, but I'm calling these out as decent edges that we're getting. I'm going to show you guys 3 bets that we're getting on PrizePicks and then show you guys another slip that I like that's decent as well. Again, we're getting so many pretty solid edges here that it's tough to narrow down it to like one bet slip. But let's go ahead and get into that. So again, guys, just a 5 slip bet here for Underdog, kind of using the fantasy score prop bets, targeting a lot of those middles. So clearly, guys, if you guys want to bet on these, especially these 3 that I'm highlighting here, I would say bet those also on PrizePicks. That's not a bad way to go with it because those are pretty substantial middles, especially Ellie Holstein and Joey Aguilar. Those 2 right there, if you just want to place one bet on PrizePicks, one bet on Underdog, bet the middle of those 2 because those are big prop line differences, should not be happening. Not sure if I had to lower it down to like 3 separate bets that aren't fantasy score prop bets, it'd be these 3 here on Underdog. And then these bets, I do like a decent amount here on PrizePicks as well. Not always a big fan of betting on unders though. Okay, so just not as fun, especially in some decently high scoring games. But again, we already saw for these 2 specifically, the PrizePicks line is just clearly too high compared to the projection data, Underdog line, and the average sportsbook line. Could PrizePicks end up being right? Sure. Okay. Again, that's why I don't mind attacking these college football slates by going site-wise and betting on some of those middles, because we do tend to see it could be a PrizePicks day where PrizePicks is just has more accurate data, or in some days it's the opposite where Underdog does as well. So that's why I don't mind attacking those middles. And then, yeah, here are just some of the plus CV bets that we are currently getting. Again, I don't know if those are going to be there, so I want to give those to you guys just in case. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Appreciate you being here. Good luck with all your bets for the day, and I'll catch you guys on the next video, guys. Like the video before you head out, subscribe to the channel if you guys would like access to any of those tools on 95sports.com. Head out on over, get access to all the tools for a low monthly cost of $10 a month. Appreciate you being here. Good luck, and as always, let's keep cashing.